Holy shit, this episode was great. Like, my God, this episode was absolutely amazing from top to bottom. It's a climactic end to this short little Stain arc we've been having. The fight that took place to end this huge confrontation between our UA students and Stain was phenomenal. Endeavor got some shine in this episode, and I actually liked him in this episode. The music that was playing for the background, so good in the ending part of this episode. Ooh, that was a good part. Oh my God, Stain being unconscious and delivering an epic speech and actually terrifying everyone to where the point they couldn't even move. Oh my God, this episode was so good. This was a great climactic end to this short little Stain arc we've been having in My Hero Academia. Ooh, how is it going, guys? We're on episode 17 of My Hero Academia, and this episode was so good. There's a lot of things that I definitely want to talk about that took place within this episode, and I don't think there's a better place to start than with the character development and also seeing Iida's resolve come full circle within this episode, because right after, the recap at the beginning of this episode, we get right into the mindset and, the inner monologue of Iida as he's slowly starting to regain movement and trying to, break away from Stain's quirk. And I love this part too, because it's him realizing that, this mistake he's made and this revenge-driven plot that basically has driven him up until this point, he's got to abandon that right now. He's got to, become a hero. He's got to not be a fake hero in the eyes of Stain, and he's got to actually, live up to the name of Ingenium and actually live up to the name that he's adopting from his brother. And I do love the flashback, too, that took place within this episode as well, because I love the funny moment to where even Iida, at a very young age, is still doing this, and his brother's like, what are you, a robot? I love that part so much, but it's at this point that Iida finally realizes what it is that he was supposed to do when he confronted Stain at that very moment. He's looking at, pro-hero native and saying, like, I should have saved him first. I came here for selfish reasons. I was immature. But right here, in this point in the episode, is that complete 180 turn to where now he realizes what it means to be a hero, how he's going to stand up and protect his friends for, coming in and trying to fix the mess that he basically brought them into. And this is what brings into, everything that happens after that point of the ending of the fight between the UA students with Deku, Todoroki, and Iida, and then Stain. Soon after this, Iida is able to regain control of his body and immediately goes in to save Todoroki, who is about to get cut down by Stain. And I love this moment too that takes place right after this, when he's saying he's not basically hero just yet. He's got to live up to that name. He's got to live up to the name that he's adopting from his brother. And I love how the injury he got from Stain when he got cut, the blood starts to seep down his arm and he makes the fist and the blood just goes around his whole arm. I was like, that's an awesome shot. And it's at this point that they end up going in on Stain, and then this is when the epic combo attack between Deku and Iida comes into play, when we have one for all full cowling punch of 5% connecting with Stain in his face, and then Iida going in with a Reciprio extended kick to his body. That was so epic. Like, I was like, yo, that is an awesome shot. This is just a great climactic end to this climax. It takes a few more hits after that to actually make Stain fall unconscious, but up until that point, it was absolutely amazing. And then once Stain is unconscious and they're like, is he finally done? Did we actually beat him? They end up taking away all his weapons, they tie him up, and they bring him out of the alleyway. They end up saving Native, and it seems like all is good right there, but before I dive into what happens next after that, I think we gotta talk about Endeavor within this episode, because I gotta say, I know Endeavor is a shit parent and a lot of people don't like his character for that, but you can not deny that he is actually a very good hero. This episode demonstrates very well why Endeavor is the number 2 hero. Sure, he's a shit parent. He was a shit parent to Todoroki and probably most of his kids and his wife. But when it comes to heroics and being a hero, he's not number 2 for nothing, because this entire episode, I was watching him go in on these Nomus and actually, being like a good role model to all of these, novice heroes, these pro heroes that aren't really as big as, the top heroes that we know as All Might, Endeavor, and Best Jeanist. But he goes in on these Nomus, and I was like, he is a good ass hero. And there's some good moments too where I was just like surprised at the skills he's able to do. Like when he actually was burning that huge ass Nomu's head and it went from orange and yellow flames to blue, I immediately was shocked. I was like, dude, that is some hot temperature that he's able to do. And in my mind, I was like, imagine if Todoroki is able to develop his fire skills to the point where he has blue flames. That's going to be awesome. But then the next surprise was when he was running up the wall to chase the flying Nomu who captured a hero, and he's melting the sides as he's running up that. I was like, yo, Endeavor is a badass. Like, I knew he was badass. He is a badass design. He's a badass character, but this demonstrated very well, and I think for a lot of other people, that Endeavor is a good hero when he's not, being a shit parent. And then we get to the end of this episode where all of our heroes finally conjoin in the alleyway when Deku, Todoroki, and Iida finally are able to get Stain. They have him tied up. All the heroes come over. Gran Torino is scolding Deku. He kicks him in the face, but he is like All Might during his younger years, and I really do like that moment too. But then we have this flying Nomu that Endeavor was chasing come in and just pick up Deku and flies away with him, and it looks like he's just gonna get away with Deku, and it makes me wonder why that Nomu out of that group of people just decided, you know what, I'm gonna capture Deku at this very moment. I'm very curious as to why that was, but then this part totally surprised me. Stain ended up cutting free from his, restraints, ended up getting the blood from the Nomu that fell on one of the pro heroes' face, licks it, paralyzes it, and then goes in to save Deku. I was like, yo, this man is absolutely savage, honestly. Stain is such a good character. And I know a lot of people might be wondering as to why Stain would go to save Deku, but this is actually a good callback to the last episode, to when Stain called out to Deku saying, most pro heroes don't walk the walk. They're very fake. They aren't living up to the name of hero, but he saw potential in Deku, and that's why he was going to spare his life and was about to slay Iida. And so basically, since he sees potential in Deku, that's why he risked his life and got out of those restraints and went to save Deku. And then once Endeavor shows up, this just got even more badass for Stain. As he's saving Deku, he gets up and then delivers this epic speech, and his aura, this dark aura that is just protruding off of him, ends up terrifying everyone there. They end up taking a step back. They're like, whoa, what the hell's going on? And after that epic speech happens, we notice that Stain is just unconscious this entire time. He was probably not even conscious when he went to go save Deku. Or I think he actually was conscious, but then at that very point, he ended up falling unconscious, because what Deku ends up saying is that he ended up having broken ribs, and one of those ribs ended up puncturing his lung, and that's why at that very moment he was unconscious. Though, in my mind, I still like to believe that he was still unconscious when he went to go save Deku, just because his morals, his code, his drive to, eradicate the world of all these fake heroes is just so ingrained into his body that even when he's unconscious, he can just go in and just do whatever the hell he needs to do in order to actually protect real heroes and destroy fake heroes. And I love how, he hates the Nomus and Shigaraki as much as anyone else. And that's why he ended up, just going after this Nomu, killing it right then and there. And I love how Shigaraki in the background is basically like, I hate this guy so much. Why would this kid be here? All my Nomus are basically dead, and it's at that very moment where that climactic end at the end of this episode just made me fall in love with Stain's character. And even though this is the end of his arc, I am really hoping that we do get to see more of him later on, because he makes a great anti-villain or anti-hero, but the villain role he played for this arc was truly amazing. The character development we had for Iida by the end of this episode was very, very good. When he bowed to Todoroki and Deku, basically saying, I'm sorry, I dragged you both into this, and it's really my fault for doing all of this to you guys. So overall, great ass episode. My God, this Stain arc was absolutely amazing from top to bottom, from beginning to end. And I really can't wait to see what's the next arc we're going to be getting into for the rest of the season for My Hero Academia. So that's going to be the end of this review. A quick update for you guys as well. I am currently trying to catch up with the manga. I am currently on chapter 50 and about to get into, the nitty gritty of the Stain arc. So I'm probably going to be catching up to where the episodes probably end. And then by the end of this season, I plan on catching up with the entire manga as a whole. And I definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts on that, because I really want to review this series week in and week out as the manga comes out after this season is over. So give me your thoughts, guys, on that, but also how this episode you thought it was as a whole. Stain, I loved him. He's awesome. He's an awesome character, awesome villain, awesome anti-hero, and I can't wait to see where this series is going to go. So that's gonna be it, guys, until episode 18 coming out next week. I'll talk to you guys then. All right, guys, I'll see you later, and remember, plus ultra.